Okay, hello, this is Clay Wimberley, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Plamp stake, which I have right here in action with the Plamp attached to it. It's pretty simple. It's basically just a pole that you stick in the ground, and it gives you a standalone structure to attach your Plamp to, so that you no longer have to have the Plamp attached to your tripod. So it's really simple, but it's pretty useful. Having it off the tripod allows you to move it further away. If you want to make some big setup with diffusers and that sort of thing, you can put Plamps further away from your tripod than you normally would be able to. Having it not attached to the tripod means when you're moving your tripod around and repositioning things, you don't have all your Plamps moving with the tripod. And also, when you take a picture and the mirror slaps, vibrations from that can travel through the tripod, through the Plamp, and shake your subject if you're holding your subject. And that can blur your image. So that can be a real problem, and this solves that and also the other problems I was mentioning. It's a simple design, but it's one that we're really happy with. We've had dozens of prototypes in the process of coming up with this. We kind of honed it to the simplest design that we think is really effective. And let me just kind of go into the design of it and how it works and what the features are. Okay, so here it is, and right now it's in its stowed away state, where you can see the spike that goes in the ground is actually sticking back into the tube, and that's kind of nice because it keeps it protected, and if there's any dirt on the spike, it doesn't get in your camera bag. So let me go ahead and pop it out here. You can see it's made of two parts. You've got what we call the ground spike, which is really a screwdriver. It is a custom-made screwdriver, and we have some design features that I'll go over with that allow it to work in conjunction with the tube and just make it more ergonomic. So that's one part of it, and then the other part is just a plastic tube that attaches or slides on with a friction fit onto the top of the screwdriver. Okay, so it's very simple, and this might look to some of you like just a piece of PVC, and that's exactly what it is. So you can, and this is, we had this custom flange, but it's a standard PVC flange. So you can actually use PVC that you buy at Lowe's or something like that, cut off a piece and use that to extend this, or for a longer piece, if you want to kind of redesign your Plamp stake. So it's sort of compatible with existing PVC. Now this is a little nicer than the standard PVC. This is furniture grade PVC, so if you want to make some PVC furniture that is real classy, this is the stuff that you would use. I don't know exactly what furniture grade means, but it is looks a little nicer, and it's black, which gives it some UV protection. So that's good, and it has a little cap on the end. So two-part screwdriver, and then the extension tube here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we made dozens of prototypes for this. And one thing we found was that it's just kind of hard to shove something in the ground, particularly if the ground is dry or there's rocks in it or roots or any of that sort of thing. So a lot of the things we came up with, they would go into soft ground, but we really had to try to think of something else, like some kind of hammer mechanism or some sort of a fold down thing that you can use your foot to press in the ground. And even with those design features, it was kind of a pain to actually get it in certain types of ground. So what we found out was really the best tool for shoving in any kind of ground is a flat bladed screwdriver. I'll kind of show you that here in a second. Actually, let me go ahead and demonstrate this going into some ground. So this is a bunch of modeling clay with some rocks in it. It's pretty hard to stick stuff in, but it's not the worst stuff. Anyway, the screwdriver, you know, goes into this. The nice thing about the screwdriver is that it's really strong. It's made of hardened steel, and it has a nice ergonomic grip. So you can really kind of muscle this thing into the ground. You can see I hit a rock right there, and I just kind of moved it out of the way, shove that in. It's easy on your hands, and it'll go into just about anything. So it works really well. Once you have that in the ground, you could just attach a clamp right to that. So that's always an option. But what the extension tube does is it just gives you a little bit more height, and it just slips on there with a friction fit. So you can have your clamp up higher or move it down or whatever you want. Also, since this friction fit just has a flanged end just like a regular piece of PVC, you can actually add multiple extensions in series. So if you got two plamp stakes, then you can just put them in series, and you can go up as high as you want. Obviously, it gets pretty flimsy if you get too high, but you can go 3 high, and you know, you wouldn't want to attach. You probably can't see that now. Anyway, you can go 3, maybe 4 high. You know, it depends on what you're trying to do with the plant. If you're just trying to hold some branch from a really tall bush or something like that, then you could have a pretty spindly extension going up there and still do what you need to do with it. If you're holding reflectors, you know, at some point it's going to get a little wimpy. But it's real handy to be able to actually have not only a standalone structure to attach your plant to, but something that can have a little bit of height to it. So if you have multiple plant stakes, you can you know, connect them in series to make a taller structure. And then, as I was saying before, so you can make a taller structure using this part, and you can still use your screwdriver to attach your plant to if you want to do something else on the ground, if you're doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff with it. So that's really useful. And let me just kind of show you a few features about this screwdriver that make it a little bit nicer to use than if you just used a regular screwdriver. Okay, I'm going to kind of zoom in here. Okay, so here's the screwdriver. Now, one thing about this is, particularly when you get this thing attached to the stake here, you know, you got sort of like a zombie killing device here. It's a little bit dangerous. And that kind of raised a little red flag with us in terms of taking this thing on an airplane. You know, you could have some problems with that, and I would definitely check it and not take it, you know, carry on. But we looked at the guidelines, and a screwdriver with a blade whose total length is less than 7 inches is allowed on an airplane. So we had this custom-made screwdriver that is 6 7/8 inches long, and it's even written on there. I don't know if you can read that or not. So that's just to make it a little bit easier if you do happen to forget to check it, and you bring it on the you bring it in the security line. Technically, this should be allowed. I think they can change the rules whenever they want, but at least it'll give you a shot. Also, you can see that the shape of the handle is a little bit unconventional, and that basically just allows you to be able to easily remove it, because it has this little kind of little flange here that you can grip. Makes it easier to pull it out, whether it's stowed away or whether it's with the blade sticking out. So that's kind of nice. And then the thing that really separates this from a regular screwdriver in terms of how it's used with this product is that we install this little screw, and basically what that does is we have it adjusted so that the screwdriver fits perfectly with a friction fit into the tube here. If I zoom out a little now. So if this thing gets a little bit loose, you can just adjust this screw. And it has a slot in it, so you could just use your keys or a dime or something like that. It's kind of unfortunate you can't use this screwdriver because it won't bend up and do it. But it's easy to adjust, so if there is ever a problem with it getting loose, you can just adjust that and it'll work perfectly. And as I said earlier, when you're not using it, you can stow it away so that the blade is inside of the plastic tube. Keeps dirt out of your camera bag, and just makes it a little less dangerous to have around. So that's pretty much it. The Plamp stake. Pretty simple design, we're happy with it, and it's really useful. So I hope you enjoyed the video.